To think the edge of a shelf that contacts the wall could be so fascinating to the person who examined it long enough would be, by most, considered a meaningless and odd observation. Yet I do it all the time. I search for the smallest, forgotten places and put my mind deep into their dark and fairly unknown world. Perhaps it is true that one can assume everything that takes place in such an area as the tiny slit between a shelf and the wall on which it was mounted, but I focus more on its inspirational aspects than its physical existence. For instance, I look at the very edge of the particle board shelf. Beyond its false, glossy, printed surface, I look onto the rough edges that were not sealed away by this covering and find that it is very rough. Every crevice in the wood is filled with tiny clouds of fuzzy dust, each easily disturbed by an altered air current. Why care about such a meaningless and understandably unattractive area of the board? Well, to answer this question, I say to look closer at the edge of the shelf. Imagine if it were much larger, perhaps by thousands of times, so that one can see each individual uneven point. It looks almost like the small crease between two stony mountains, on each side of which lies the bright light of the outside. Yet here only a suspended, lifeless darkness can be seen. Etched into the stone, I imagine huge keeps and abandoned towers. They no longer serve the purpose as a refuge for whatever long-gone people constructed them. They are now spires in the land of the dead. They are so close to light and thus life, yet they remain silent. Quite simply, there is no escape from this moist and dusty world. The moss-encrusted stones that wall off the buildings do not lead to a tunnel. This is the land of the forgotten, inhabited by creatures only known to the dead. These castles and keeps are to remain this way forever, as an existence of the unknown. I allow my mind to wander deeper into the keep, exploring its extensive cavernous systems, each ending at another empty hall of rooms. The breeze is no longer here, as it was if one were to look from the windows of the buildings. Rather, the air is cold and stagnant and has probably not moved in ages. Other parts of the buildings have collapsed, blocking the passage to the darkest and forever unknown corridors in this land of the dead. Shades peek out from corners that I have yet to explore. Others tread silently, stirring the dust on the stone floor slightly as they cross from one empty room to another. I have already checked these rooms, and have found no such beings, yet they confound me by manifesting as such. They do not wish me harm nor aid. They only seek to continually hover through the halls until eternity strikes them down. What stories can they tell? Had they any way to communicate? Why can they not speak? Has death rendered them mute, or has the perpetual existence of nothingness driven them to madness? Either way, they pay me no attention as I make my way back to the edge, already knowing the way out of this labyrinth of hallways and silent rooms. Back to the edge where I can once again breathe of true light. Even spending merely fading seconds in this realm of shades, I find a new appreciation for the beauty of open air and free light. The edge of the castle is truly the most breathtaking place to be, while sitting on the edge of a window, peering out at the huge openings on either side that lead to life. Even this underworld has its beauty. All this I imagine from the tiny gap between the shelf and the wall it is mounted upon. I return to reality, knowing that there is no world behind my shelf. In truth, it may be the dullest of places in existence. I choose not to think of it that way, however. I enjoy imagining these tiny worlds, each waiting for exploration. These forgotten places make perfect candidates for my imagination to sink its teeth into. After all, they are forgotten. How do we know that nothing noteworthy takes place behind my shelf? How do we know that what is there now is what will be there when it is not observed? What if things change when someone does not set their eyes upon it? Anything could be possible. Yet I must say, every place should be remembered. From the crease behind my shelf to the dust along the edges of my doorframe, or possibly even the chaotic, shifting world of my ceiling's fan blades.